I'm Neil Smith. I'm the author of Boo, which is a novel, and the short story collection Bank Crunch. I also do translation. I translated a novel recently called La déesse des mouches à feu, the goddess of fireflies, and I'm from Montreal. I was born here, but I grew up in the States, and I moved back to Quebec when I was a teenager. When I was growing up, I wanted to do something creative, and I used to draw. I had an exhibition when I was 19 and sold some work, and I thought maybe I would do that. But in the back of my mind, I always feared not making any money. When I was a teenager, I also liked acting, and I did plays. But that has helped a lot when I do readings from my book. I act out the parts. Yeah, I changed my voices for different characters. It's all very fun. I'm one of those writers who actually enjoys doing readings. I was very aware that I would need to make money. That's why I did a degree in translation, thinking that I could earn a living that way and then do art as a hobby. Originally, when I started my career, I was only a translator doing corporate translation. From doing translation, I've learned how to structure a sentence and a paragraph. I've also learned how to be very concise and precise. So I've used that in my fiction writing as well. And I think knowing the structure of another language, French, helps me better understand the structure of English. You know, I didn't start writing until I was in my 30s. I was trying to get my business off the ground. So I started writing later, and the stories got published. Publishers were interested in having a manuscript. So it started slowly like that. And after the story collection came out, Bank Crunch, I knew I wanted to attempt a novel. I started off writing short stories, and I found them easier to do than novels, definitely. I could make mistakes that wouldn't have ramifications for a year or two, the way that if you started a novel and went down the wrong path and threw it out, you could lose a year or two of your life. With short stories, it was a week or two. I was never interested in writing about myself, and my books are not based on my life in any way. They all take root in my imagination, which for me is much more interesting source than my own background. When I write, I want to step into someone else's shoes the way an actor would. Boo is about this 13-year-old boy named Oliver. He's a science geek, and he wakes up at the beginning of the book in this heaven that is reserved only for 13-year-olds and 13-year-old Americans. So if you die at age 13, whether you're a boy or girl, you end up in this heaven. And he's not sure why he's there. He thinks he maybe died from a heart attack because he has a hole in his heart, but he discovers early in the novel that he was actually murdered, but he doesn't know who killed him and why. He goes on a quest to find out exactly what happened to him. With Boo, I wanted to take a book with young adults protagonists and use a tone that seemed to be very young. The book is written almost like a fairy tale, but the themes in the book are much darker and more adult-like. World building for me is really important in novel writing. And this book in particular, because there was a character that was a god who decided everything, what they ate, how they got around heaven, buildings that they slept in, the schools that they went to. It was really important for me as the god-like author to decide on all these details. So I had a great fun making lists of things that could and could not be included in this world. In my mind, they were living in like a giant terrarium in a pet shop, and they were like the mice in this huge terrarium. For Boo, yeah, I wanted a character that was very observant, and Oliver is the type of character that does science experiments, but he thinks he knows more about people than he actually knows. He is a loner and does watch people, but he also comes to the wrong conclusions about them because he doesn't have a lot of social skills. When I wrote this book and I presented it to my publisher, I told them that it was a never coming of age book because he's stuck at 13 forever. I don't think too much about genre when I'm working because my stories and my novels tend to straddle several different genres. They could be speculative fiction or fantasy fiction or sci-fi even. I'm not interested in plugging myself into a single genre at the moment.